not to stick around because I wanted it to be a quick meeting, so you wouldn't ask a lot of questions.
He's got a fellow with him. 9 o'clock, Judge.
Brent, Blevins.
I saw it yesterday.
Well, that's a big nameplate.
Go to bed.
Okay, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call this regular scheduled June 8th session of fiscal court into order. And we'll start out with a invocation by Magistrate Ronnie Short.
Everybody bow their head. Lord, we thank you, Lord, today for this beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you, God, for waking us up this morning to give us another day, not only to be with our friends, but to worship you. And we pray, God, that you will bless this court today. Bless all that we do today, God. May it glorify your holy name. Help us to be wise, Lord, in our decisions, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And if everybody will stand and pledge your allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We entertain a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Comments, discussions, changes, deletions, additions. There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. By the way, for the record, we're missing one magistrate today. It is out, but we have a quorum, and that magistrate is Jamie Gay. So, for the record. Thank you for approving the minutes. Now we need to approve some bills. Is Mariah on? There she is, right on cue. Good morning.
Okay, so the total for bills to be paid comes to $3,375,385.93. The total for standing orders is $319,238.06.
Make a motion we approve those.
Second.
Motion been made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Short to approve the bills is presented and we're in your packet. Is there any discussion on the bills? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mariah. All right, budget transfers. No budget transfer. What about cash?
$50,000 for EMS operations and payroll, and then $208,009.49, and that is for the trails, and that is until we get reimbursed, our reimbursement back from the state for the trails.
Motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, motion to approve the cash transfers made by Magistrate Salmon, seconded by Magistrate Short. Questions, comments, discussions?
Is the Trails grant fully bring the 208 back? Is that how
Yeah,
much
it
range
all
for?
the way back.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now, what time limit? I'm wondering. Nobody knows.
We gotta give them a canceled check, and there's still a little bit to be done, so.
Any other question?
It looked good.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. By the way, that trail does, that on 21, it looks great.
It does look great.
It looks great. All right, now we're into the consent calendar, and looks like I'm up to bat first. Appointment to the library board. I would like to nominate from a suggested list that I got from the library. I'd like to nominate Ms. Artie Adkins, and also a reappointment of Sam Polam to the library board. Is there
Motion to approve those.
a motion to approve the nominations? Been made by Magistrate Sammons. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Magistrate Short. Questions, comments, or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. and the motion carries unanimously. Excuse me, thank you. Planning and zoning appointment. Gentlemen, I would like to put in nomination to appoint Mr. Tom Ruby to a position that the county has authorized on the planning and zoning board.
So moved.
And
Second.
the motion has been made by Magistrate Ellis and seconded by Magistrate Short. Is there any comments, discussions, or questions about the nominee?
After that one meeting,
Mr. Cullors seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
After that meeting that we had, where he attended with us at the fire station a couple of months back, he asked if I'd meet with him. We ended up having a lunch meeting for over 2 hours, and I've not met anybody more equipped on a broad array of issues than Tom Ruby, and I think he would be a tremendous asset as we struggle through some of the things that are already on the horizon and others that we might not even anticipate, because he has such a breadth of knowledge all over the country and, quite frankly, all over the world. We're very lucky to have him as a citizen, and that's why I strongly support his membership on our Planning and Zoning Board.
Appreciate that. Thank you. It was well said. Appreciate it. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
What's the effective date on this, Judge? 1st of July?
Yes, sir, it is. The term of our appointee expires 30 June. Yes. Today, this gives me great pleasure to, upon recommendation that we entertain, and it's already been approved, the renaming of the Rosel-Martin Road. And I would like to recognize the guest we have here today. I don't know if we have everybody show up, but Helen Reynolds, Tommy Roselle, Naomi Roselle, and Linda Wilson.
And granddaughter.
And granddaughter. What's your granddaughter's name? Layton. I have a granddaughter named Layken. Layken. It's a pretty name. What I would like to do is offer, we have a sign here and I want to take some pictures, and our county engineer will be putting the sign up on the road in the future. And Dwayne, I guess it would be appropriate when you send a crew out to erect the sign or change it out, is to maybe have them there for some pictures out there on the road, if they would like to do so. So,
Just give us a time. Get us a time when we can do it.
what I would like to ask is you write your phone numbers beside your names here, and we'll contact you when it's going to come out and put the sign on the post. Okay? What I would like to do now is take a minute out and invite you all to say anything you would like to about the renaming of the road, Rosel-Martin. And if you would like to say something, and at a minimum, we can get up and have some pictures made with the sign and you.
He's our spokesman, right?
Okay.
I'm glad to be here. My name's Tommy Roselle. I was born in Junction City, raised in Boyle County till I was 21. And I went to the state police, and I've been gone ever since. And this is my sister Linda, and she married a soldier, and she's down in Madisonville. So, I mean, yeah, no. Hopkinsville, I'm sorry. We was, about 3 years ago, me and my sister and my niece and nephew, we just went back to the old place where we growed up at, and we took a picture of us standing beside the Roselle Road, and it was a great moment for us, because I didn't know that the road was there. I mean, I knew the road was there, but that it had been named the Roselle Road. And at that time, or when it was named the Roselle Road, Rosel-Martin was a magistrate there. And during that time, I know they was, through the 911 thing, they was renaming roads and making sure that everything was right and all that. And Marcy probably made the suggestion Roselle Road, because there was 2 Roselles lived on it, and of course he lived in the far house. And just a little history. I don't want to take up too much time, but the Roselles come over here in 1885 or somewhere along that line. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. But anyway, and the Martins came over, and I have all the respect in the world for Morris Martin. He was my brother. I didn't have any brothers, but he was my brother. He taught me how to work. He taught me a few more things you didn't need to teach me. I learned on my own. But I know the reason he didn't name it the Martin Road, even though he lived on it, was because of the respect that he had for the Roselles. And we took a picture of this road, and I'd say it was about 3 or 4 months ago, or maybe, I was in bed one night and it just come to me that they ought to have the Martin name on it. And I called my sister and asked her what she thought, and she thought it was a good deal. So that's why we're here. I think Morris Martin has done great things. I remember the first time I really knew him, his daddy had died, and his mother, and he was about 16, 17, somewhere along there, and he had a younger sister. I don't know how old she was, but they had to buy the farm. They had to auction the farm off because of relatives after his daddy died was involved in it. So they had to auction the farm off, and he had to buy it even before he went to the Army. And he made a success out of it, and I've got all the respect for him. And he's my.
Sir, you've been gone
Big
so
brother.
long. I don't know, John Cable and I served with him on the court for,
Yeah.
I don't know, several terms.
But
You know what his name was on the court? You know what his nickname on the court was?
Ain't no telling.
He was one of the no boys. He voted against no on everything.
However, though, I think he did represent his district.
He represented it well.
He represented it very well, and he wasn't afraid to say no when he felt like that was the proper answer, so.
I remember him when he was magistrate over there. I've been over there a long time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think he came by and seen me one day, but that's been a long time ago.
He's a good guy. We all loved him. We all loved him.
We sure appreciate you traveling up here today.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Where'd you live, sir?
I live up in a little town south of Elizabethtown.
Okay.
Yeah. I left here in '59, going on to state police, and I've been gone ever since.
Okay.
You look a lot like a guy in Junction. I can't.
Look like that. Morris Martin. You favor Morris.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in that.
Well, I would like to take a minute to have some photo ops with the family, and definitely, Ronnie, I would like you there as the manager, because that road is in your district. And Tom, I know that you've been active in this too, so if it's okay, we'll all get together and take a picture by the sign. And I'm gonna give you this piece of paper, Linda, and let you put some phone numbers down there so we can contact folks, okay? We'll do that after the picture. And, let's get in front of the podium so we.
You want me to take it?
Yeah,
You've got a
if you don't
better
mind.
angle, thank you.
In fact, I'm gonna let you hold it.
Yeah.
Come on up here, everybody in front of the podium, come on up this way a little bit more.
You get right between them there.
Yeah.
How you
Ronnie,
doing, Julianne?
Make sure you're in the picture though. Stand on your
here,
tiptoes.
let me get in back behind.
You ought to be in the middle, Judge.
About that. Can you see me okay?
That's great. Maybe make the signage kind of crooked.
Kinda
down.
crooked.
Straight.
There we
All right.
go.
All right, it's perfect now. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is with Tom's phone, so. Unless you want me to try my phone too, because it's a little bit newer.
Right. He can pick one.
I mean, it's not as new as yours, probably. Why don't you use yours?
Yes, we can put it on the website and stuff.
You ready?
Just keep smiling. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're right, one number.
You can just hand it back.
Yes, I do. I was talking to Brent first.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna give this. So glad you called. Dwayne.
Now, could I ask one?
Sure.
Could I have the road name second down, could I have that,
The sign,
the sign?
Dwayne,
Second down?
yes, yes.
Okay, and you give it to Ricky Gibson that works here.
The bailiff.
He's the bailiff.
If y'all come by when I put the sign up, then I'll give it to you.
If you'd like to come by when they put the picture up, he'll give it to you right there.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm not sure I can make it then because of my wife.
If not, Ricky will get it if you don't make it.
Okay, that's.
You going on something? No? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is Mr. Brent Blevins, our distinguished public health director, and we've got some information that we're gonna get from him about his tax rate and some other good stuff.
Always appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys, and it's good to see you. It's been a long year, as we all know, and I'm glad to be back in front of you again to talk a little bit. Let's do the tax rate first.
Okay?
Glad you're back, brother.
It's been what it is, but the tax rate this year, we're keeping it the same as we were last year. The way my budget works out, I didn't need to request a tax increase this year.
That's a mistake.
Well, try to be as conservative as I can, but the years, you all know how this works. The years when we need it, I'll definitely be asking, that's for sure. But I always appreciate your all support. But we're keeping it 3.7 cents. And Chris, the form you're looking at is a little different this year. No longer does the commissioner have to sign that at the bottom. The only way he has to sign it is if we were not gonna meet the minimum rate, which is 1.8, but we're over that. So that's why it looks different. But that's the fully executed one from the board meeting the other day. But if you have any questions about that later, just catch up with me and I'll answer. A couple of real quick things I'll give you on COVID, just to kind of give you a quick update of where we were this year. Now, this has been a few weeks ago, a little over 3,400 cases, which equaled 35,000 plus different contacts we either had. We talked individually to people, emails, text, whatever, that we had people doing that. And if you think really the number is probably more in the 40s or 50,000s, that's a huge amount of contacts we did in a year doing contact tracing. At the height of it, I had 7 full-time contact tracers. I've got 3 now that we're still doing that. And yes, there are still cases in Boyle County. There's still cases everywhere. We're still going to contact trace them for a while. What we're really trying to do with people now is say, look, if you're sick, do the right thing as you can. Stay home the best you can. Stay away from people. And let's try to keep this where it is, along with the vaccinations. To give you an idea how much that costs to have that amount of coverage last year for contact tracing, it was over $260,000 I spent to do that. And we were reimbursed through the federal government that came down through the state to tune about $228,000. We were fortunate enough, we had enough reserves, we could offset the rest of that. Hopefully that's not the case this coming year, that we have to spend that much money just on contact tracing. Let's talk retirement just a second, and I'll come back to COVID here in just a second. The retirement, and I know everybody looks at retirement, what's going on with the state. They finally got House Bill 8 passed, and what that means to the health department is for the next 29 years, our cost is going to be around $400,000 a year for our retirement. To give you an idea of what I paid in the previous years, about $250,000, $260,000, to show you how much that went up. However, the reimbursement that the state gives to health departments went up. Normally, they reimburse me about $140,000. And now through House Bill 8, that's going up to about 290,000. It's kind of an interesting process how that works. I'm paying on one end, but I'm receiving from the state. It does help. I'm glad to have it. But at least it gives you an idea from the health department perspective, because we're all fighting this retirement thing of what that's going to be, of what those funds look like. COVID, let me throw in one more thing. I had a good question about this earlier, about what should groups be doing right now. And I'll give you my 2 cents on this group right here, that how you all are meeting. I think if I were you all for a little while anyway, I would continue to do, you've got reduced seating. I think that's a great way to do it for another month or two if you can. And let's just see, you know, as long as the numbers stay low, you get more people vaccinated, I think that's a great way to protect you guys, protect the public, and keep fewer people, because you all are in here for a while, keeps fewer people kind of out of your face a little bit, and let's see where it goes in a couple of months. Hopefully it stays right where it is, or it gets even lower. You know, our numbers have been trending better, so that's a great thing to look at. Couple other real quick things I'll throw in for you. Something that's happened over the course of the pandemic that I just did not anticipate. Our syringe program has grown tremendously. We started doing it out of an outside door, so people don't come in our building anymore. They stand literally outside on a porch right at the front of our building and do the syringe program. And I thought we would have a lot fewer people do that. I was totally wrong about that. Our numbers have shot up tremendously. Along with that, though, it's given us the opportunity to start doing and to do a lot more HIV Hep C testing. I'll give you an idea what the numbers look like on that. In the last about month, we've done over 50 HIV tests. I'm glad to say we've had 0 positives out of that. I thought we had 1, but we've had 0 positives out of that. We do have HIV in Boyle County. We do. But yeah, the tests we've done. However, the flip side of that is on the Hep C testing, about 50% of the people we test are Hep C positive. The good thing about Hep C is you can now be treated. It's not necessarily a cure, but you can be treated. And that's what we want. We want people to be identified. We want to get them hooked up with treatment as soon as they can. The same would be for HIV. If somebody's positive for that, we're going to get them hooked up for treatment as soon as we can, so they can start fighting that. But I wanted to throw those out just to give you an idea. Total number of syringe visits in this last year, 3,930. That represents 640 individual people have used that program. And when you start thinking about that number, that's a lot of people coming to that door. Syringes given, a little over 50,000. And when you start thinking about that number, now here's a positive about that too. I figured up, because we have to do the number of syringes coming back in by the pounds that we've had, and it's actually almost the same number of syringes coming back in by the pounds that it was given out. And the reason is because we do not take every needle coming back in and count them one, because that's just a stick hazard, but we do it by how many pounds we did every month. To me, kind of the things that I know that are happening is, I haven't had a call from Angela, Tony, or Derek. I don't remember the last call I had from any of them saying, hey, we've got needles on the ground, come pick them up. I know there's still some needles that people are finding. I know that, but nothing like we were having years ago when we had so many people calling in saying, hey, we got needles on the ground. So I wanted to throw just those basic things out to you to give you an idea of what that looked like a little bit for the health department. Our budget this year for the health department is about $1.9 million. Last year, my budget was about $1.3 to $4 million. The difference is, through the federal government, through the CARES Act, the state has filtered down about $500,000 to me if I need it to be used for contact tracing for this coming up year. I am so thankful for that. I'm glad that money's there. We won't need that. Hope I'm not jinxing myself, but we won't need that. But that's it's there. So I expect my budget next year to go back down to 1.3, 1.4 million. All right, that's a lot of me rambling. Questions, anything I can answer for you, help you guys out?
Brent, do the recipients of the needles put them in a containment box, or do your staff have to handle it?
No, they put it, we give them a container, and now we actually have a return receptacle right outside our door. And we have people, because we see them on camera, that will come all times of the day or night and actually put needles in there. One of the safest things we did, because we don't want to be handling.
If other magistrates bothered Brent as much as I did and his staff in the early months, all the kudos go to you and your folks for everything you did.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I've got a great staff, no doubt about it. They help me.
With thick skin, I saw they got a lot of heat here and there, and they just handled it really well, and I appreciate all that they did to stick through and get us through this. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you. Last year was not an easy year for you. I know. I talked to your wife, and she told me how stressed you got, so thank you for all you did. I also would like to point out that with the needle exchange, it sometimes gives you opportunities to talk to the people about programs out there that are available to them to help kick the habit, you might say. I think that's an important part of the program. Give a chance, and it builds trust between them and you all, for them to talk one-to-one on the programs out there. Sometime I would like, and I've said this before to the court, I went to a seminar, saw y'all's responsibilities of what the health department does. Somehow, some way, I like for you to be able to share with them. It's amazing, absolutely amazing what you all do and what you're responsible for, and I thank you for all of that.
I appreciate that. I will definitely bring that up, and at some point I'll come back and lay all that out for you.
You do a great job, thank you.
It's one comment I want to make on what you said about referring. We referred a ton of people to treatment, and one of the best things I did for the syringe program is when I hired Merle Baldwin. I'll just tell you right up front, that dude's the real deal. He doesn't mess around. A lot of the people come to our door, he's arrested them. He's been in their homes for not good situations, and after he got over the first 2 weeks of realizing that we had hired a law enforcement guy to run the syringe program, and word got around who it was, people trust him, and it just made all the world a difference of all the people that have come in. So.
Really likes his job, Brent.
Yeah, he does.
I'm
He does.
talking to him every
Yeah.
time. He really loves it.
He liked his van too.
I know. The van had a little wreck, not from us, but we do have a trailer now we've converted into one we can use that we're going to start using. So it's been a good thing. I appreciate your guys' support. You all know where I am. You've got my cell. You can call, text me anytime, and I'll help you any way I can. And
you will.
I'll come back and do that one day, John. I'll tell everybody what we're doing.
I think it's a story that needs to be told.
Great, I appreciate it. Hey, one guy I forgot, Jack. Jack is interning with us this summer. He's interested in public health, and after the year we've had, anybody that's interested in public health, I'm all for bringing us. So, would you like to meet him? But
Shoe in.
yeah. Hey, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank
All right.
you. Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
being here.
That's good, Phil. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Take care.
appreciate it. I apologize to the Roselles. Y'all please feel free to leave. This is a good time to leave. Thank you for being here. You heard a little bit more than you needed to, but thank you for coming, and
Thank you guys so much.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, sir. All right, next, Mike, you're up. You get center stage.
All right, thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court. First thing on the agenda item today, and this went out with a packet. Tried to make it as detailed as I could. Was last court meeting we had officer positions that we posted. This past week we had the testing process. Consisted of interviews and a written test. And thankful to all applicants that applied, but the two that we want to promote today is Tim Bryant and Michael Mattingly. And these guys will give me a little bit of grief about how long it's been since we did the promotion process, but this process is a little bit different because John and I and some of the senior staff, we can all retire at any point. So you know, the training and the investment that's went into these two, I'm really proud of, and I'm really proud of the way that they've come and stepped up to the plate. So super proud of these guys. I told them to bring their better halves with them today, so they can introduce who they have with them today, because I think that's very important too. So
I'm glad you did that. We need to know everybody better. Tim,
Well,
why
better
don't you
look than
step
y'all
up
are
to the plate
too.
first?
Yeah.
Why don't you go get this intro?
Y'all know Tim Bryant, we live here in Boyle County. This is my unicorn that I married, Melanie Bryant. She's worked 20-something years extra insurance, and she does commercial and all that stuff. But she listens about the budget, and she listens about the stress and everything that we get to deal with every day, and she's excited about all the support that you all give us. That's really changed a lot of stuff, so, I appreciate y'all.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you and congratulations.
Now, what rank are they gonna be, major?
Tim's gonna be the captain, which is
Captain.
ship supervisor, and Michael's gonna be the lieutenant.
Lieutenant, okay.
Those who don't know me, Michael Mattingly, read it on the shirt there. This is my wife, Caitlin Mattingly. We've been married for about 3 years. We live here in Boyle County, over in Indian Hills. We live here with our 2 daughters. We have a 3-year-old next month, and we got a 2-month-old. So the pandemic, we kind of brought a new one in. So no, I'm pretty excited about everything that Mike's doing here, and we appreciate. I know starting last year in March, it was rough times. The county and state and across the U.S. and coming into this budget season, from the top to the bottom, I can relay that we've seen the support that the county's given to us by the raises, and I don't think you'll find another bigger proponent to the 12-hour shifts than my wife here. So I think she'd be a good spokesperson for that, having me home every night. But we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. I know me and Tim, for one, are excited to be here to step up and to move forward with the agency. So we appreciate you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask you, kid, the Mannings lives in Boyle County?
No, my man was from Marion.
Okay.
That's a big name in Marion
You
County.
can't throw a rock over without hitting one of us.
What about Mercer?
All Marion.
There's quite a few Mannings living in this town.
Tim, I know, and I think, Michael, you were there when I first came in a couple years ago. I came out there and sit down and listened to everybody. And I want you to know, it's not just me, but it's the whole court. And his continued presence before the court that allow all this movement to move forward and in a positive way, because we recognize when we got something good going on, we need to keep it and make it better, and that's what we want to do.
Right. Congratulations. We get the court can ever help anyway, let us know.
So, you want to make a motion separate as far as promotions?
Yeah.
And concur?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, made by Magic Cullen and seconded by Magic Kaywood, that the promotions be effective, what date?
Effective today.
Effective today, okay? And any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously.
Thank y'all very
Congratulations again, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, thanks, ladies, for being with us.
You don't want to stay for the whole court? Now, come on, Tim.
They've been hanging out around. See y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so the next agenda item is just to consider new hire candidates. I tried to make it as detailed as I could, but you see the list there. It has the name, effective date, position, and pay.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion made for the 5 new hires, was made by Magic Cullen, seconded by Magic Kaywood. Questions, comments, or discussions? Are any of them here for new hires? Or
They were here this morning.
They were here for the committee meeting?
They were here this morning.
Okay.
We covered,
Yeah.
in the committee recommended
Right.
the actions.
And we wisely told them to leave.
All right.
We concur.
Comments, discussions, questions? All those in favor of the motion to hire the 5 new EMTs, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And what's your hire date on these guys today?
It's listed on there. The
It's
effective
on this
date.
piece of paper.
It's yep. It's in that middle column, sir.
Not your first
So when are
rodeo,
we
right?
strictly going to 12 hours? Have we
So-
already started?
No, sir. The plan to transition is July 1st. So-
Okay, that's why we're getting all these hires.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
And
I'm glad for you.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
I mean,
It's,
it's-
like they said, it's been a real morale booster, and we're going to be able to really expand our services and and decrease our response times
There's
throughout
extra
the
work
county.
on you getting all this shift stuff going.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You give the statement you just made, I thought you give excellent service. How you gonna expand on it?
Well, we can. Yep.
Yeah, you do a good job.
Well, I couldn't do it without the support of this court. And the third box is really just for informational purposes only. It just gives you an idea what the shifts are going to be made up. Just 4 shifts. We actually we're doing the exact same rotation as the jail. So it was really we kind of just didn't reinvent the wheel. We just took what they were doing. Shannon was familiar with that, so that's what we're going to do. So we still have 3 open spots, 2 paramedics and 1 EMT. And we're still out recruiting and working on those. So,
Perfect. Thanks, sir.
Any other questions?
No.
All right.
You brought Brad Ellis back to the captain.
Yes, the court did. We voted on that back
About a year ago?
Yeah.
I know it was a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He been a captain.
Yeah, and he's been integral in bringing these, some of our new officers up because.
Oh, he does a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened was. A lot of the paramedics that we recruit are new, are students that when they come do ride time with us or field internship, they fall in love with the service and they stay. But the downside of that is lack some of the leadership skills. So he's been integral in helping to invest in these people. So.
All right. Well, it looks great. Look, you're heading in the right direction, and it's all good stuff.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Okay, Miss Julie's up next.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we're going to start this morning with the administrative code. It's that time of year when you need to review that. This is the first time that I really worked through it. Of course, we've all read it, but to expedite this process, I put together a kind of a punch list like I did with the other ordinances, just to give you some things that I saw that we don't need, we do need, questions I had. So would you prefer that I work through the list, or do you want to just, how would you like?
Let's go page by page.
Okay, page by page.
It'll be quick. There are only about 6 pages
okay.
that are really repetitive.
All right, so we'll start on page 4. And page 4 is the D. If you look on page 4D, and this is pertaining to board appointments from the county government. If you look at D, I highlighted.
Did I get an updated one, or I don't have a 4?
I don't have page 4.
I think.
In this?
You should have a brand new one.
There's one laying on the desk somewhere.
Oh.
It's laying on the desk, the brand new one. I think Julie may have given me yours, so I'll go get it.
Got that? You don't have a page 4?
Well, see, the odds came out.
Got it. No, I'm on. Sorry.
What about this?
You've got it.
All right.
Here's a smaller version of the code. The other's a little thicker.
We'd have got through the other one real quick. I got one. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Does everybody have the copy that has the highlighted?
I made new copies and laid them all on the desk.
Yeah. I saw it yesterday, but somehow it got mixed in with my old pack.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're very
All
welcome.
right.
Okay.
All right, let's start this all over. We're on page 4. All right, on page 4D, I just questioned the wording of the second line where it says, and all boards. I think that should say, and all boards that receive county funding or support. I don't think that we want to mandate that every nonprofit board in Boyle County has to answer to us, and that's the way I read it.
Yeah, Julie and I, and for some period of time, Magic Cullen were in here yesterday going over these details, and I brought up the issue of expense reports because you could read this and wonder why in the world boards who are volunteer members would have any county expenditures. But if we send somebody to a seminar in Paducah or something like that and they're a volunteer, they're going to have expenses, and I know we've always covered them. So that was the issue that Julie and I were talking about yesterday.
Okay.
So it's okay to put in there if they receive county funds?
Yeah, that covers.
Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a little cleaner.
I do too.
All right, page 6.
Page 6.
I have a thought on this one.
This one, we're not using the judges here pretty much I don't know, Judge, you've only taken one vacation in the time I've been here. So my recommendation is to see what you think about removing page 6, item 110.
I actually had a different idea. I know we're gonna have to add this into our code as well. My thought is to add language that says the county administrator to be named deputy judge executive unless the judge executive requests a different deputy judge executive.
Make that as a motion, I'll second it.
I'll make that as a motion.
I second.
And the reason I say that is if you look at the position classification for the county administrator and the responsibilities, just, you know, Julie does here, the first two are just basically, I mean, that working hand in hand, doing the jobs that the judge executive would do. So I think it makes sense.
I don't see why she's administrator, and that's, to me, shouldn't be enough for her instead of.
I think it needs to be in the code, though.
Yeah.
Can we just change it to may? Maybe we just change shall to may?
Let's see.
It's necessary.
So that he
I
can
mean, we-
designate,
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm?
I'd be okay with that.
What?
Without your language.
Oh, yeah, I mean, what did I say there? County administrator to be named deputy judge executive unless judge executive requests a different deputy judge executive. I mean, it gives the door there, but, you know, you tried naming somebody right away and that didn't go through, but especially if you have a new judge executive that comes through, you definitely want help, you know, or if you want to be able to take time off and have somebody come through here and be able to help run the county. It makes sense that the person.
I think, now, what if you considered, shall to may,
May.
because I tried that and it didn't work, so I can't comply with shall. Or I did, but it was not followed through with. But after the word deputy judge executive, you say, or a county administrator shall serve as the judge executive in absence of the county judge executive.
Judge, before the recommendation by Magistrate Cullen, that's exactly what I was going to suggest. I liked his language, but if he withdraw the motion,
As the wordsmith in here, I mean, I would say you can go for that. If you like his wording of it, I'm fine with that.
Well, and then it doesn't require your clause, so I'd withdraw my second if you withdraw
Yeah,
your
that's fine.
motion.
Yeah, so we're gonna say, shall
May.
designate by written order within a
May.
reasonable time, assuming an office of deputy judge executive, and then what were you saying?
Or-
The first shall.
The shall
becomes
be a may.
It shall be may.
Shall be may. And after the deputy judge executive or a county administrator, which recognizes that title as a equal type position.
Okay.
I don't have to say it recognizes it as an equal type position, but, you know.
Do you accept that as an amendment to your motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead,
I'll second it.
Discussions, comments?
Who runs the meeting in your absence?
Pro
Bill.
tem,
Yeah, that's on page
which is
26.
Phil.
Yeah.
He runs the meeting in my absence,
Right.
not the county administrator.
Right.
Okay.
Just
And
the
the judge is
day-to-day
here all the time.
operations.
This is not, Yeah.
This is more day-to-day stuff
Right.
rather
Right.
than court time.
Right.
yeah.
Call question?
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Fantastic.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
110.2.1 talks about
Oh, excuse me.
appointments.
At the bottom of page 6, we also had another area.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's where she
Okay.
is.
All right,
Yeah, yeah, that's where I'm at. It's the process of appointing SPGEs. Agencies should submit their bylaws and board lists 60 days before any appointment. I don't know that we're doing that. So I was going to recommend that we put in 60 days prior to the selection of members, add prior in there, and then perhaps add a clause Tom suggested, new or replacement members for vetting. So if you want a board replacement, give us a list. What do you think?
I think we've all experienced, and I've only been here 2.5 years, but I think we've all experienced, some of our boards have folks who just aren't active. Some have a track record of 3 meetings missed, and there's often not action to remove them, even though that might be in the bylaws of any given group. That's why I think that the judge should have the privilege of looking at, reviewing, and vetting those who are suggested from our community. And I think that we'll get a high caliber of folks if that process takes place.
Judge, are you getting lists and bylaws every year from the
No.
SPGEs? That's my point.
Yeah.
No,
Some of
and
this.
that's not happening.
Yeah, we need to tighten up on some of these because it is
And if
required.
it's in our code, we can push
Right.
that out as a requirement
Right.
for them to comply.
It's a better process
There's
for.
no disqualification on how many days you miss? We haven't, it's not in there.
3 meetings, but sometimes they're not being
Yeah.
kicked off.
Well,
It depends on their
especially during
bylaws.
COVID.
That's true.
Yeah, okay.
Bylaws.
It depends on the organization's bylaws. But I do think we need to tighten up on some of these, and we've started that with the appropriations by requesting financial information.
Yes, we did.
And that is one thing that was in here that we should have been doing, so it's a good thing we took care of that.
We need active, participating community members. I make a motion to that language.
Second.
Okay.
Page 7.
Should've
Oh, and I
been-
put a
No,
list.
no, well,
Should we vote first?
we need to
Oh,
vote.
sorry.
Okay. Comments, questions
Instead
on
of
the
making-
motion?
My question is, instead of making so many motions, why don't we just wait till we get through and then make one motion to accept them all?
We could be at conflict with one and not the others. We'll move along fast.
Okay.
We'll move along fast.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Next.
I did
Page
put,
7.
just to point out, I did put a list of SPGEs in your packet, so
Right.
you understand who we're talking about. Okay, page 7, procedure for appointments. I don't understand why number 5, 110.2.5 is in here. I don't understand what this applies to. I was hoping maybe one of you would remember. And this is about the judge making appointments.
Yeah, I need some history on this one.
Yeah, I don't,
And
Kind of
really, it's
contradicting itself,
statutory
wasn't it?
history, correct?
well, this is when state law does not require full fiscal court approval.
When is that?
When would the judge make an appointment to a committee that he wouldn't bring before you?
Well, it wouldn't be a committee, it would be, the appointees that he's authorized to make, such as his personal secretary, and I think there's one more in there, John. What is
These
it?
are boards and commissions, local boards and commissions.
Yeah, this is broader than just
Yeah,
the staff.
yeah, this isn't internal, this is more of these committees around town, and I wanted to point that out as something I didn't understand why it was in there. We
What
can
are you
leave it.
thinking about this, striking this out?
Striking it.
Well, I just wanted to see if anybody knew why it was in there. I'm not saying take it out if somebody
No, I would
understands
say
why it's in here.
Let's not take it out until we kind of maybe get a little more history
You
on
know,
it.
and I may need Chris to help me with that one, but,
Okay.
yeah, okay,
All right,
so,
moving on.
page 10,
I don't have anything highlighted on 10.
it isn't. I wanted to point out that the process that we followed for the budget was pretty much to this schedule. I thought it worked well. I think Keegan thought it worked well. Everybody had a chance. Are you comfortable with the dates that are in here?
I had some notations, and first of all, Dwayne, do you have a copy of this in front of you? Page 10, 220.2. At the last of it, the second to last line, budget hearing may be immediately prior to the first reading. Do you need more time on county road aid on that, or do we need to change that language at all for you?
222.
No, that's what we did.
You're
We had a
okay
public-
with that?
We had a public hearing,
Yeah.
CRA and LGEA.
Yeah, but the timing is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We always
Yeah.
try to have that before the first reading.
And then Keegan, 220.4, I've written down, and really as a question mark, the fiscal court shall make final. In other words, that helps you hold our feet to the fire to move right along so that you've got what you need. But then, after the word budget, in the second line, tentatively adopt the proposed budget X days prior to the county. Do you need some days in there for any reason?
Well, I don't know.
Because
It's tough because we're dealing with state government and
And
they're
sometimes
working
they
for-
don't get it.
that's what I'm saying. So
They
if-
don't.
If we had to make changes and we have in here that it has to be a certain amount of days before.
Well, I heard your comments last meeting,
Right.
so I'm trying to accommodate that if we can.
I think it's tough to put a date, a number of days in there before, just in case everything should, like, when we have this next meeting in 2 weeks, all the comments should be up to date by then. We should come in here, y'all should have the budget on Thursday before and we approve it and be a done deal.
If you're okay, I'm okay.
So, I mean, I just don't think, I think it's gonna be kinda hard to put I don't know what you would set that date as.
Every year is different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
And this year's been really different.
Yeah.
Okay, in keeping with
I think you
Phil's
fly
moving
by
right
the sea,
along,
you pants and-
220.7, bottom of the page, there is a new statute that the media statewide tried to nullify, but it passed. And we don't have nearly obligations that we did in the past. We'll have to explore this, Mr. Herron. But tell us what, again, it costs.
Well,
It was a lot.
just to do a little ad, for the cable franchise, it was $500.
$549.
Yeah, and so that's for a tiny little RFP. So you can imagine publishing the full budget is, I'm estimating, what, $1,000, you think, per time? I'm sure. But-
I'm just wanting us to look at our provisions
I
of the
think we
new
need to
statute.
clarify that about publishing. in the
Yeah.
If we have
paper.
to do it twice, yeah, because it looks like we have to do it twice, right, Keegan?
So a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, posted at the front door of the courthouse, well, we used the back door because we don't have a front door, but we'll put it down here, you know, so.
Crazy.
So it's just a question mark on 7.
You know, when we get into the program that Bill has been bringing it, maybe that could.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be on,
Yes,
online.
yes.
As a public, presentation.
Yeah. Maybe
That's
that
what
could
I
be
hope
looked
we
at.
have the ability on the last.
Oh, I do too.
Say we
See, I
would.
think
Because
the language says that.
I just know that the media was very, very upset when this passed and was signed into law.
Maybe you can find what that new law is. I don't remember the specific wording.
Yeah, I
And if you flip over on 220.8 on page 11, what do we publish? Do we publish this thick, or you know, or do we have to publish it all under this new statute?
Be published all, I think.
Because again, you're really talking about money
Yeah.
if it's the entire
I
budget.
think I remember full-page ads with the budget.
Can we,
I think I remember. Does that sound familiar?
can
Keegan?
we put in there just a clause that says if,
Available.
well, no, if needed per Kentucky statute, like saying that
I like that.
we only publish it if required by Kentucky statute.
Motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, everybody heard the motion? The motion was made that on section 220.8, that.
Actually,
to add-
7 and 8. Just
Okay,
cover
7 and 8.
totally.
Well,
7,
on 7, I like Dwayne's adage in there, instead of front door, would you say main entrance? Public entrance.
I like
public
that.
entrance.
Yeah, public entrance.
Okay, and
And if that's an amendment to your motion, I second that.
Yeah, we'll make that change in there as well. And then on 220.8, we can just add in if required by Kentucky statute.
Excellent.
all right, that's the motion made by Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
I'm looking at 65A.080, and it just says, in lieu of the publication requirements of KRS 424.220, but in compliance with other applicable provisions of KRS 424, each special purpose government entity shall, within 60 days after the close of each fiscal year, publish the location where the adopted budget, financial statements, and most recent audit or attestation engagement reports may be examined. So we just gotta say, publish,
Huge.
hey, it is, the financial statements are here, or budget information's here, so we don't have to do all that.
Huge savings to
Well,
our
now,
taxpayers.
the effective date of this is in 2013. Didn't we have something this last General Assembly that updated that?
Yes,
Okay, so we need something more recent than even that.
yeah, it's all past this time. But even that gives us tremendous latitude.
It does. All right, moving along.
But like John said, with this new Civic Plus, that's gonna be a
I think
huge
that's gonna
tool.
be huge for us to post, and I wanna do that.
We want it to be used.
Absolutely. Okay,
All
we're
right.
on page 12.
Page 11.
11?
Page 12, let's see where I'm at. I have a note here. Since my job is a new position, do you want it reflected, some of the duties, part of the duties? I don't know.
All the duties in
All the
in the
duties in
administrative
the
code.
administrative code. It is a new position that you did not have any last year when you reviewed this.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Be
that's,
wise.
Okay.
I think
So move.
Let's say the motion made by Magistrate Ellis, is there a second? By Magistrate Cullen, to include the county administrative job position classification in the administrative code as others have been. So,
Okay, thank you.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
I don't know when this is appropriate or, where, but looking at this two-page document of what our county administrator does, and that very last sentence where it says overtime status exempt, we really need to revisit in the budget or whatever, how much we're paying our county administrator. She works all hours of the day, and I really think that we maybe need to do some sort of study to see if we're paying her appropriately.
And nights and weekends.
Yeah.
We
That's
all
something
do.
that's gonna be hard to regulate.
We all do, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's not gonna
I'm just-
regulate, it's the salary
Well,
structure.
in a way, it is to regulate. I mean, I know she regulates her hours and stuff, but when you start paying overtime.
No, I don't want overtime.
Exempt employee, no overtime.
Okay, but.
Yeah, I'm not asking for overtime, I'm just saying we really need to look to see if we're paying our county administrator
Well, I
enough.
think
That's what I thought you was talking about, was
No.
overtime.
Judge can make that recommendation.
I would like, yeah, I would, I think that's part of my functionality to move those kinds of things into the court's forefront when appropriate.
We agree.
Page 13?
Page 12.
Well,
Hold on.
can we, just one second. Will this come to the personnel committee?
I thought it already had.
It exists.
It did?
That's the
Okay.
job
Yeah.
description that I was hired. I
That was
told
hired on,
Tom.
it went to the personnel
Yeah,
committee.
the
sometime
only
back.
change I made to that is I bullet pointed each item, and it was all in one paragraph, and so but that is what that I got
Approved before hiring.
before I was ever, yeah.
You're right.
Thank you.
Page 12. Item 10. We have spelled out here the financial reports. We put in here that we must, have department head meetings and financial reports every month. The EMS, sheriff, they may not have time for this. I would suggest we strike that and leave that up to Keegan to work with the department heads. It's just not feasible sometimes to do it this way.
What number are we on page 12?
Page 12, top of the page, number 10.
And I found it awkward to have joint jail mentioned in there without any specificity on obligations that the detention center would have to do that monthly.
Well, there is a joint.
A monthly report?
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
So it is every month. I knew it, I've been there and it's almost always been, so I assumed it was. So that's not awkward.
No,
Okay.
no, and Mercer County pays us.
And a fee to do that.
Gotcha, okay.
This is just basically putting a burden on Keegan to have to run around and find everybody and make a time to sit down and go over the budget with them every month. That doesn't really, it's just not practical, I think.
Do we need the clause at all?
That's what I'm saying. Let's, if you're comfortable with it, I would recommend we just strike that.
The yellow highlighted
Right,
piece.
just strike that last clause.
Let me ask a question about that. When we have our committee meetings, I know we haven't practiced it. Do you all want to see a budget report?
Every month?
Well, not necessarily, even.
Well, that's what it says, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, I'm going, headed to where maybe adding some language and change that. Do you, you know, does the committee want to see a budget report when you have a committee meeting? That's the first question.
I think if we ask, we'd get it.
Well, okay. We can generate, if, and we have to work with Keegan, and Keegan's gonna have to work this out, we can generate these ourselves in our own department, but we have to have Keegan's help, okay? To take this burden off of him, but there's a few things he has to do in order for that to happen. Am I right? Okay. But it can be done, okay? That's the reason I'm asking the question.
Keegan, it's on your.
I don't know that, in the committee, we don't ask for that. We don't really discuss that very often now. It's up to you
But if we
guys.
needed to, we could ask.
Well, you could ask,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have it
Right.
monthly.
No,
I'd
we
strike
don't
it.
meet monthly
So-
anyway, but.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we strike
You
that
could do
clause.
that, you could make it quarterly, or you could even do it whenever we have our,
We
faculty.
don't ask for no budget.
Have what?
Whenever we have our faculty meeting, whoever shows up, they get their budget report.
Sheriff's Department does it quarterly.
Quarterly, first issue,
Yeah.
Okay.
except for the last quarter.
I move we strike that clause.
That'd be more acceptable, and
There's a motion to strike the yellow highlighted clause in number 10 on page 12. Is there a second?
second it.
Seconded by Mr. Short.
You guys don't want to add in there quarterly instead?
Get it if we want. Keegan, any thoughts on that?
I would say, if you wanted, like, where Tom's train of thought is going, to prepare for the fiscal court, joint jail committee, comma, and upon demand, it would satisfy any other question or or inquiry that you may have on demand, if you wanna know. I don't
withdraw
know.
my motion and.
Upon request,
I withdraw my motion and add upon request.
upon request.
I'll second.
And department heads, comma, upon request.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's more coverage for the
Yeah.
taxpayer.
It is, it is. Okay, to change that language, in motion, in second, discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries unanimously, thank you. All right, what's next?
I don't know why I highlighted number 13,
do.
except to make a point that there are overlapping jobs that Keegan's department and my department do. We both administer grants. We both have different things that we do, and I just wanted to point that out, that,
Different type of grants.
right,
With the
right.
emphasis made on some being separate, some being jointly done by the
Yes.
two functions, I recommend that we put the administrative job description in there as well, Julie's position.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And
we,
you're eliminating, removing the county
Here.
treasurer.
No.
no,
we're
no, no,
adding
no,
it.
no, 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 that was my
Or
point,
you're
don't do
striking
that.
it.
No, we're not
Yeah.
striking anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
it'll be covered when we insert my job description, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
I think it would be covered in that, but if you wanted to keep, 16 in there.
oh, I do.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we're not,
Okay,
No, I just wanted to point out that we all are doing
Yeah.
multiple grants, and it's not just one person.
Julie's
Yes,
title in
Keegan's
there
doing some,
along
Wayne
with
does
county
some,
treasurer.
yeah.
I would just do a slash or a dash, county administrator.
Yes.
I think that's under Keegan's job description. It's under the county treasurer job description. So when I put mine in there, it'll have it under mine as well. Is that okay?
That's
No?
okay with me.
So moved.
Saves editing his job
Yep.
description. Page 21,
Or we need action on
Well,
this.
Oh, sorry.
we have a motion to make that change. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, motion made by Master Al, second by Mr. Cullen. Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
okay, page 21.
21, we're breaking ground here.
Okay, we're almost done. 21, as I've been here, 7 months now, I've talked with Keegan and talked with the judge. We think that the purchase limits could be adjusted because the cost of goods is, of course, increasing.
So recommending that we increase the purchase limits to 3,000 and 5,000 instead of 1,000 and 3,000.
And even if y'all wanted to do 2,500 instead of 3,000, I think that would be better.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to do that.
3,000?
The 1 and 3 or 1 and 2,500?
1 and 3.
25 and 5.
25 and 5, excuse me.
25 and
Okay.
5.
25 and 5.
Yeah.
Got it.
Is that, okay,
Is that
the
okay with
motion?
everybody?
Wait a minute, the motion made by Magistrate Sammons is 2,500 and 5,000 on those levels. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Magistrate Short. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Page 25. I just want to point out that this clause addresses the ordinance that we just retired, I guess is the word, abolished. So Dwayne has handed me some language that I will work into the next ordinance that will address road acceptance, which we talked about at the last meeting. This is the place to put that.
A procedure?
And Dwayne, I'm a little confused here because at a certain point, we're compelled to accept a road, correct?
Oh, we are.
Let me read what I at least drafted, okay? I gave her. I told her this is first draft, you know, first thing to look at, it's just a pause. 540.1, that's not in the right section, okay. Okay, fiscal quarter in accordance with KRS 100.277, section 4. And I've left the word may only because there's a procedure. May approve the acceptance of newly constructed county road into the county system after receiving a formal request from the developer and confirmation from the Boyle County Planning and Zoning Commission and the county road engineer that the road has been built in accordance with the specific standards of the current subdivision regulations.
Sound good?
That sounds like it gives you a process, a procedure, and a, you know.
Protections.
KRS says you shall take it over. It doesn't give you any leeway, but they have to meet, they still have to meet the standards. It has to be built according to the standards, it has to be inspected, you know, and then those two, you know, the plan is on and my position have to.
Those are our standards.
Comment to you that they did follow those standards, or met those standards, and so those procedures have to be followed. Then, the court still has to take action. I don't understand why they put the word shall in there, but anyway.
Okay.
Procedure.
Good deal, thanks.
Dwayne, as products change for road building, do you look at that every so often and see how that can be adjusted?
That's what we're doing right now.
That's what you're doing?
We're currently doing
Okay.
that. Matter of fact, that's all, our proposal's already finished.
Okay.
We're just working on the appendix and we'll be finishing all that procedure. But we have looked at increasing our standard and similar to what Jessamine County, we've looked at all the surrounding counties around us and looked at what they're using. And we kind of like what Jessamine County's doing. They're next door, so to speak, so, you know, we think it would be something acceptable.
I would entertain a motion to change, to amend that, or to change the 540.1 to the language that he suggested and is written out as a draft form. It, you know, it answers the process, the procedures, and it acknowledges the requirement to inspect and comply with, you know, the standard, so. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I just, how, you know, what we just did change the ordinance, how does that conflict or coincide with, you know, where the acceptance of roads by the, you know, planning and zoning board of
Adjustments.
not adjustments, but they have the board that accepts the, you know, the roads, so I don't know.
They do not accept roads, they accept plats, they approve plats, and you know, then the plans are submitted to them and to us.
Yeah.
And then this procedure, what I wrote in there, they have to inspect it, they have to look at it, make sure it meets their subdivision regulations. We have to inspect it for the same purposes. And then the court is the one that has to do final approval and acceptance.
Well, y'all sign off on it first, both of y'all.
It's been inspected
You sign
and
off, they
approved.
sign off, and then it comes to us.
Okay, I just wanted to get that.
And the state doesn't have the specificity that you have in your language.
No.
Right, yeah, I left that in. I did not put the word shall.
All right.
The KRS more or less doesn't give you a choice,
Yeah, let's leave that word out.
except that they got to meet standards, so,
Yeah.
you know, they meet standards.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Is there a motion
I'll make a motion. Accept.
to accept, this?
What's your motion?
I don't remember.
Accept
The stipulated
Dwayne's-
language
Dwayne's language.
to accept
Language, yeah.
the county roads specifications.
Mr. Nichols asked that anybody speaking needs to speak into a microphone.
Well, I'm not gonna let it die, I'll
Is-
second it.
Okay, there's a second. Now, discussion on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
All right, page 26. This is just a question. Who decides who the judge pro tem is? Does the judge pick? Do you vote? Because it doesn't really
We
say.
talked about this yesterday, and I think we elected our counterpart,
The judge,
Sanders.
the
I think we
judge
had
always, the judge always picks the pro tem.
Okay, I think
But
we should put
you
that in
either
here.
recommended, or we voted on it after you recommended, I can't remember.
I don't remember ever voting on anything, so I don't know. I think it's a good question.
So you,
I think
comes
the
back,
judge-
then comes back to you.
I'd have to go back to the statute under,
So that'd come back to the
under the
judge.
county judge's
Is it-
authorities.
I think,
I think it is my call,
I think it,
Yeah,
that's what happened.
to appoint.
Okay, then we should put that in here just to.
I don't remember we ever voting on it.
I don't remember voting on it.
I
Yeah.
don't either.
Yeah,
I
we-
think the judge
Might
just
you have had
appoints who he
reservations?
wants.
I think we
I
can
don't-
check,
Let's not go there.
put the statute citation
I
in
think
there.
the judge makes the appointment. I think the judge made an awful good, wise decision.
It was being debated on this side of the
I
table.
don't think you would get full vote for it.
I vote for you.
I think it was a form of motion that probably would have died.
So I'll put in here the designated judge pro tem as appointed by the county judge executive shall assume said responsibility. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
Right.
Great.
That's the way it is.
Sounds good.
As long as the pro tem stays off his phone.
All right, next.
Page
Hold
28.
on, real quick. John,
Sir,
640.0. You may want to look into that one, given your concerns about an incident happened a little bit ago.
well, I figured we'll get a chance, as we finish Julie's presentation, we can come back.
Yeah.
Magistrate Sammons has to leave to attend a pressing prior commitment, and I understand that, and, we still will be able to carry forward with the quorum that we have in place.
670.0 on page 28.
Phil, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm big Phil something.
I'm sorry.
This is for you. Thank you.
All right,
All right,
moving right along. I got this one.
page 28, rules of order. We are, according to administrative code, follow Robert's Rules of Order. Is that agreeable with everybody, or would you like that struck?
Hold on, did we do anything about 650.1? It's not listed on here, but it is highlighted.
Okay, I put that in there just to show that when we do the Thursday cutoff, that is the 4-day, and it is in our code. So by pushing that and making that the policy, we are following our code. That's all I wanted to point out. I'm sorry I skipped over that.
Sounds good.
So, 28,
Anybody have any questions or comments about the 4-day?
So the judge shall have prepared and mailed an agenda to the members 4 days prior. Not saying that we'll have it 4 days,
Right.
but it'll be mailed 4 days
Right.
prior.
right, so when we do the Thursday into business cutoff, we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
To accommodate things that develop so quickly, and I really want it as early as I can get it. But email works, and I want it postage, I want it in hard form too, but I think that's easy to make sure we do.
We do, yeah.
Email is easy, okay?
So that
The
qualifies.
postage thing gets a little bit
dicey sometimes to get it in the
expensive.
mail.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because that, it compresses our schedule on a Thursday afternoon a lot, and sometimes they have to go out first thing Monday morning, Friday morning.
That's my understanding, so as long as we get it the 4 days email, should we specify it?
No. I just
Or
think,
mail means email.
4
today.
days is 4 days.
yeah, I just think
Okay.
that as long as they send it 4 days prior to the meeting, we're good.
Okay, so email qualifies, that's what I'm covering.
Yeah, and we do that, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The overlord said that once Civic Plus is in here, we'll also be able to log in, we'll also be able to go in there and it'll be there as well,
Good.
so.
Fantastic. Great. All right. Robert's Rules of Order. Again, I
I
just.
will make the comment that Rich Ornstein made to me, and I don't understand, Counselor, you may understand this better than I. He told me it very early in my assuming this role, that to follow the precise, exact Robert's Rules of Order in every proceeding can get you into trouble real quick. And I don't understand the wisdom of that advice, but there are some things that give us, that are very restrictive in Robert's Rules of Order, and I just want to throw that out as a cautionary piece of advice.
I mean, I would say that Robert's Rules of Order, I don't exactly even know what that is. I mean, that's from a long time ago. Like if somebody called someone out for not following that, I don't know that I could tell you exactly what it is. I know I'm the business moderator for my my church, and they stick to that. And I've had to just go back on the internet and kind of research some things about Robert's Rules of Order as far as how you vote and on different things. So if we're going to enforce Robert's Rules of Order, definitely I need to get a book or something so I can like
I've got one at home, I'll lend it.
call people out, or I mean I'd like to have one anyway, just to I just know it's something from a long time ago, and I mean it's stuck for many years, and if we're going to use it, then definitely I need to.
Is there an alternative?
I'm gonna throw out a word, it just came to my mind, I really hadn't thought about it, but instead of shall govern, shall guide.
I like
I
that.
think
I do
it's
too,
still stuck
yeah.
to it, though.
Guide a possibility.
Use as a guide.
Yes, sir.
If it's in there,
Is
it's
that-
in there. I've been on many
Not
citizen
strictly.
boards and also in 2 corporations that used it. I'll say right now, I'm gonna abstain on this because there is confusion, even if we used it as a guide. It has tremendous value properly used. It can stymie virtually everything if you're not careful, and I think that's the feedback that's coming from Rich.
That's what my
Not
concern.
being an attorney, when we vote, I'm gonna abstain on that.
It just, I think the confusion is you like a little leeway because
And you lose
situations
it
change.
if you've got it.
Situations change, and you, not long ago,
Yeah,
really, what, 2 meetings ago maybe?
Yeah.
That
Well-
was kind of a iffy thing.
it was.
And maybe something that gives us a little bit of freedom to come up with an answer for the particular situation we're in makes some sense.
If you read the next item, 670.2, currently, if we should have made a vote to suspend Robert's Rules of Order 2 weeks ago.
Excellent
That
point.
could-
And that's what it says here, so that's where it sort of tricked me off, that we're not following this in our administrative code to the letter, and so maybe we need to revisit this. That's why I highlighted it.
Well, we really followed Robert's Rule of Order. We would be really restricted
Yeah.
what we do in here. I mean, it can get, I mean, I've done it both ways, and it can get pretty strict.
Yes, it can. It can be restricted.
Yeah, I mean, it all falls back to him, what you're allowed to do, say, whatever.
I do
You know,
like.
you got a allotted time to when you say something, then other than that, you don't speak.
Well, it could add to some conflict, among us maybe, over a particular situation.
Well, the
Well,
judge presides
And
over
that's
the
not what we
meetings,
want.
right.
The most important part of this, though, is that last word there, order. Without some sort of guidance, we're not gonna have very much order in here, and So I say this is something that we should table, get a little more clarification on it before we make any decisions right now.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I can
So-
second that.
I think,
But the language of changing the one word in our administrative code in 670.1 from govern to guide, to me, is a huge step in the right direction.
I can get behind that, and I'll make that motion. But no, I want to table it.
I think you're still bound. I really do.
All right, let's table that for future discussion.
I think what Rich said to you, though, is absolutely
I do too,
Let's-
I do too.
Well, can we table it, given allowing our county attorney and Keiko's attorney get together and kind of get a better understanding of
Yeah, yeah,
of
I
his
think that's
concerns?
wise. Okay?
And we pay this man for a reason.
Is that
That's
a
why he
motion?
makes the big bucks.
Still haven't gotten voted.
And I can find out too what other counties
Yeah.
fiscal courts use, as guidance, for operation of meetings. If they have some, they have adopted Robert's rules or use some other.
Tom just wants to be able to keep saying parliamentary procedures, so.
Well, I've got the book. I've got 2 copies of those. But I do
It's in
think
his
we
pocket
need,
right there next to the Constitution.
we need an examination of it. Are you making a motion?
To table.
To table.
To
yeah.
table.
Table that one.
I'll
I mean,
second it.
do we have to do a motion on anything? If we're not gonna make any changes to it, we'll just come back to that part
Yeah.
and revisit.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Next, page 29. I just want to point out that the judge has the right to revisit committee assignments in July, so that will be coming up. And on page 30, we have a list here, a punch list of items that should be attached to the administrative code. I will do that, and I will make you all a copy of this document so you have it to read at your pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, as expressed previously in the discussion about board, about these, this, 690.2, regular scheduled meetings, I appoint members to various standing committees. That's the magistrate committees.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
And I just wanna make sure that everybody understands it's different from a board or whatever, but I like putting fresh eyes and moving people around, not to do anything but to give a fresh new approach and idea to different important functional areas across the committee structures in the county. So, I hope nobody ever looks at it in a negative fashion, because it's not. It's meant always to be positive. So, if you want to talk to me about particular interests that are maybe different from what you have right now or similar to what
Leave
you
me
have,
where I'm at.
please get in touch with me. But I like changing things around a little bit. Okay, it helps everybody. It helps the court, helps the committees, helps those that we oversee.
Any other items you wish me to look at or the judge to look at, John?
640, that's page 27.
Okay,
Disturbing meetings, I think what we have here is just really not in much detail. I have seen it, April 15th being the last one, but I've seen it in previous years.
Mhm.
Dwayne, you probably go back to those years. And that was internal. We had a magistrate that would get out of hand sometimes. So it can happen. I just think it needs to be more defined.
I
okay.
was gonna say, just start me a tab. It's cool.
Sorry.
So just start me a tab. It's okay.
Start him a tab.
I'm not saying a word.
Maybe Chris can help me see, when you talk to other counties, could you ask them if they have this and what they,
Well, it's a hard thing to
For
describe.
disturbing
to
the
define.
meetings. It
really
is.
hard to define. And who makes the call?
Yeah, there you go. Who makes the
Who
call?
makes the call?
okay, that's a good point, okay.
And I'd like, if we're gonna do that, unlawful is an extremely harsh legal word. Inappropriate or something like that, where there can still be action, which is lacking in this right now. But if we have the word unlawful in there, I know of 2 incidents in community boards, actually both of these happened at the city level, and they were a frog hair from taking two different people out of meetings with the police. And to have the word unlawful in there, I would hope that we could always keep things from escalating to the point, I mean, maybe we would have to call in the sheriff's office or something, but unlawful has connotations far beyond a disturbance.
Well, remember April 15th, the individual was removed from the building.
And I hope there aren't repercussions from that.
And, or maybe we just don't address 640, maybe we don't have it in here.
I think we'd still have the latitude.
I think we have it in
That's a
there.
potential answer, but.
So we're gonna table that until we get more information to move
Yeah.
forward on 640.
Yeah.
Any other?
I don't have anything else on that. It's good work. I think it's good discussions, good.
It's hard to do this, I think, sometimes, don't you, Judge, that you have to look back at your policies and,
It's good to clarify things,
yeah,
you know.
Yep,
it's not
Yep.
fun. All right, I will hopefully have this to the next meeting for you to review, a clean copy with everything in it. All right, are we ready
Okay.
to move on to 220, Judge?
yes, we are.
222? All right, this is the business license ordinance. And I met with Tom yesterday, and there are some typographical errors in here that I will clean up. But let's just go through this and make sure it's what you want. This is an ordinance requiring an annual business license to be imposed upon every person, association, corporation, or other entity engaged in occupation, business, trade, profession, carried on, conducted, or held within the boundaries, I think as Tom has suggested, of Boyle County, Kentucky.
On that first clause, and we talked about this yesterday, and I mentioned it to the judge this morning, that first line, to be imposed, sounds like the sword of Damocles down on every business in this community, and I would recommend we change that to apply to every person, so strike upon.
Imposed is way too harsh.
Yeah, strike be imposed upon and substitute apply to.
Okay, and I will do a search of this document, make sure that if I have imposed, I change it to apply. Is that, okay?
Now, did you want to go through some of those we discussed yesterday? All right, under Roman numeral 1, business license, and you did still need the or after, correct? On or after October 1 of 2021, within the party's fiscal year. Did we need that after our discussion yesterday? In other words, they pay within their year, not go beyond it, so that you're not out chasing money that's in arrears. In that first sentence.
Where are you at?
I don't see that.
Roman numeral 1, on or after October 1, 2021, comma, within the parties or business, or however we want to say, fiscal year.
No, our deadline, they have to renew by October 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to have to sit here and, because you want it during our year, not theirs.
Okay, fourth line down, or third line down, excuse me, we did change imposed upon to subject to yesterday. In definitions 2, under business, after co-partnership, we added company, comma, association, because we use that word in a couple of other sections. Oh, and farmer's market, there could be a circumstance here where people are slipping in and slipping out. If we didn't put the words after, and we changed farmer to farm at the end of the first line, 2 or more farm producers recognized by Boyle County Fiscal Court. Because if they're slipping in on the border,
I thought we decided that we were just going to remove prescribed location and leave it to any location.
yeah, if that'll take care of
Any
it.
food vendor
Okay,
would be
I'm good
covered
with
as
that.
a farm producer.
Will the people who set up on 4th Street and Main?
They would be waived because they are a farm producer,
Okay,
yeah.
'cause they're
That's-
down there by themselves.
That's what you said you wanted at the last meeting, is
Absolutely.
any food, anything. So what I had said is as a prescribed location, implying that we would sanction it. And last meeting, I think you all said you wanted to remove that to where any food vendor, farm producer would be exempt. Is that correct? Okay,
That's my understanding.
yeah.
Top of the next page, second line, by the seller or, and did we add local? Okay, by the seller or family must be the primary business. Is it something we discussed yesterday? The next major paragraph, transient, 3 times we mentioned town,
Yeah.
but we agreed yesterday, since it's used at the bottom of the page, that should read county in all 3 instances. Initial, next page, initial business license fee. We've had quite a bit of discussion about this. And apparently, several phone calls, Judge, that, Missy, you recognized the coming in. I got a couple, and I think, Julie, you might have gotten one. I'd recommend that for both categories that we go to $25. It's found money anyway because we haven't been doing it. And the more that we extend a very positive olive branch to businesses in this community, the more we're gonna have new businesses wanting to come in. And the difference in $50 and $25 doesn't net us enough to worry about whether we have one at 25 and one at 50. So I'd recommend that we change that one to 25 for each of the 2 categories.
We went from $100 to now down to 25, but we're gonna charge home-based businesses the same of what we're gonna charge a regular business. So, you know, your local little person that's doing stuff on Facebook selling, you know, cosmetics, we're gonna charge them the same as a contractor who's making thousands of dollars? I think, skin in the game, $50 is not hard for a business to come up with.
I guess my philosophy on this, it's more of the concept that we have already, thanks to what Julie has been doing, we have already collected something close to the neighborhood, and I hope that the media is watching this, to $400,000 in payments in arrears. And if only the statutes allowed us to go a few more back, we might double that. Now, with any kind of tracking system, if it were $1, 25, or 50, or even the 100 that we had last draft of this, we will have a tracking system, and we will know who you are. We know that you're a legitimate business, but if you haven't paid up, then you don't have your license for the ensuing year. So I'm more the philosophy of getting everybody in to the category, did you say, of nearly 4,000 businesses?
That's what I estimate.
At $25 apiece, $100,000 that we haven't been collecting, but more importantly, without that quote-unquote tracking system, that's what put us in the position of chasing nearly $400,000 of the taxpayers' money that should have been in the coffers for other uses.
What is the definition of home-based business? What is it
I
defined?
mean, it's your average, like,
Is it a Airbnb?
no, so, you know, 'cause that's not your home.
It can be.
No, it's not.
Okay,
So
it's
you're
it's a local entity.
Yeah, so you're looking at like Mary Kay, Avon, whatever the new ones are, those are all like little home-based businesses. So, you know, could be, you know, a guy or girl who's home, you know, and they have a business on the side or whatever. It may even be like a person that does, I don't know if they're allowed to do it, but like a hair salon out of their house, but I don't
Actually,
think.
it's not.
I don't think they can.
In our business, I've got a lady that does alterations. Now
Yeah.
That's a home-based, yeah.
That's tough to make much money.
Right, but for you to say that it's not significant enough to actually, you know, I mean, $100,000 versus $200,000 collected, that's going to pay for the salary of the person that we're hiring to do this job if we have to hire somebody. So
The however of it is the encouragement to be a participant, and then our ability to chase those tax dollars which have not been collected in any significant way in the past when people are in arrears.
we've gained $400,000, but think that is people that haven't paid taxes over 5 years. That doesn't mean each year we're gonna see
Right,
$400,000.
right. Once everybody's caught up, that number will drop.
Number's gonna
Right.
drop significantly.
Right about that.
Well, I
You
won't
know.
go to war over it, but I just want a very positive message to the business community, that we invite you, welcome you, and want to grow with you in this county.
$50 is cheap
Well, I
compared to
think
what
if
I pay
they
for
want- if they're
everything
gonna
else.
come to your county, they're gonna be glad to pay $50.
$50. No.
No, it ain't.
Some of our local organizations charge $200 to be a member of their organization. $50 to be able to make a profit and you know, is
On the home-based
They need the extra money,
businesses,
come see Jason.
I need more information on that, home-based businesses. I heard the definition, and nonprofits. Why would we charge them anything? Why would that not be zero?
Well, again, we have,
I think you go back to the real reason that I see this, we're going through this, is to be sure people are paying their taxes.
They're filing-
That's my philosophy
That's the
on it.
main mission.
So we have to be able to track them.
We need some way to make sure they're filing their net profit return, even if it's a zero. We don't know if a home-based business is filing. We just don't know.
Again, $25 for a home-based business is not much, you know.
Is this gonna
It's-
hit every LLC, PSC?
Ev-
Because I have like 2 or 3 LLCs, just like little stuff,
Yeah. Me too, so it's fine.
which I do pay
Well,
taxes on. I mean,
I
already.
think some of the comments that the office has received is when the paper had it reported at 100, which we all think, in my personal opinion, we all think that, maybe I don't wanna speak for you, that it was too much.
agree.
For each year for $100, yes,
Yeah.
but 25 and 50 is not much. I mean, it's not.
Well, the
I
big.
mean, at the end of the day, it's still a business.
I agree with Tom, I just want us to, as a county, this is huge for an opportunity to have a procedure and a process to tracking our occupational tax collection and other things to help in the process that we're currently doing, okay? And have come up with 400,000. The business license is the linkage.
It is
It's the linkage to all those, that we have a clear, picture on who's doing what and where in the county.
And when the judge mentions what is a home-based business, it really hit me with one of those you mentioned, whose name won't go past my lips, because there's usually the individual in the center, and he or she will probably have 5 units in the same county doing that position. So the profits there are very, very significant, and it's not just a little bitty situation.
Yeah, but let's think about this. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Ronnie. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, one thing, you could start it low, you can always go up on it the next year, you know, just to see how it's gonna work.
Well,
You know,
And
if you
they're in
want-
the computer at that point.
Yeah, if you wanna do
Well-
you know, what Tom suggested, 25. I mean, you could do it for 1 year and see how it works out, then you can always go up on it.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
what happened when we wanted to raise taxes? We hadn't raised taxes in 10, 15 years, whatever it was, and no one
Well,
wanted to
just-
because they were
just-
afraid
it's-
to.
It's
'cause
just
you're
like his
anti-business.
case, and it's, you know, it's $25 more, not that much.
I understand that, but.
But let's make a motion on it. you
Let's
know.
also remember that we got some big ticket items to start paying for. We're not gonna have the CARES money coming through each year hereafter. 100,000, 200,000, if we're looking at these different things, that's almost the way of buying a new ambulance. So, we gotta buy two ambulances, but they're about 250,000 is
yeah.
what each ambulance is.
Hey, I
So,
agree with you.
oh, I know,
Agree with him.
I know, I know.
I'll go
I
with
mean,
the way, I'll go with the way it's written.
I just want everybody to think about, are we being business friendly? I like the process, I like the procedures, it gives us the site picture that we need to have.
Right, agreed. We're being business friendly, but we also have to be, you know, we have things that we need to pay for, and we just can't keep raising taxes all the time. So if we
I
have,
don't wanna raise-
if
no,
we
I
have
agree.
businesses in town making money because they've come to our lovely county and they're successful, asking them to contribute $50 so that our EMS program has good buses to pick up their employees possibly one day if needed, you know, sheriff, whatever it is, you know, $50 is.
And it's
I'd
good news
I'd
that
gladly
it's already
write that
been
check.
front page,
so.
top of the fold,
Yeah.
that in the preliminary draft, it was 100. So, I think that's.
Cut it in half. We cut it in half.
We did cut it in
Yes,
half. I think 25 and 50 is fair.
Do we need a motion or action on that, or just?
No, it's already
No,
written
it's already in
there,
here.
so-
Okay, yeah. all right.
I do want to point out one thing that you may want to consider is before we sign a contract with somebody that we're going to be paying for a service, we probably need to make sure, as a point of order, policy, whatever, that they are registered in our tax office, they are paying their taxes.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know where that goes. Does that go in here? Does that go in the administrative code? But you know, we're signing
I said-
contracts with people all the time, and we're not checking that.
No, I say that goes in the code.
Okay.
But so anybody that comes through Dwayne for bidding process, has got to make sure that they're a current
Right.
business license holder here, if they're gonna be doing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
With that, I'm gonna decrease the budget from 250,000 to 125,000 on business license. Cause we said
That's
that.
right, it's in there,
We
yeah.
said that at
That's
50
right.
and 100.
Okay.
That next item, transient.
Wait a minute, I need to connect better on what you just said.
We had the budget set at $250,000 for this business license, and that was when it was at 50 and 100. When we come in for the second reading, and there's a change, and you see it's 125,000.
We need to reflect what that is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On an estimate.
Yeah,
I'm
we-
answering the question before it's asked.
Okay, all right, good,
Amen.
thank you.
Thanks. And the next item,
Got that
transient businesses, 2 issues with the 200. Some of them coming in, and we want them to come in, or they might be here on a mobile basis. And I think the 200 is harsh. I guess it's gonna be another adjustment. But I'd recommend 100. And then, the judge and I talked briefly about this, where it says per showing, I think, right now you were talking about Chick-fil-A, for example, pay it one time a year. I think it should say $100
Per year. Yeah.
Where are we exactly?
Down under
Same
4,
page.
Yeah.
transient, the second paragraph before the bullets, it's got 200 showing, per showing, and I'd recommend 100 per year.
Your biggest problem with that, most of these that you're listed right here are all cash-based businesses. So what you're doing, most likely, you're not gonna catch, like food trucks, generally cash. So you're not gonna catch very much on a tax on them. When they go to report their taxes at the end of the year, they're gonna say, I only made $100. And so you're not really getting anything as far as the payment of a cash goes.
But what do you think of the fact that you discourage them coming in at all if you charge them 200 versus 100?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think you gotta factor in, they don't pay brick and mortar expenses.
That's exactly where, yeah, this was a big topic up in Lexington several years ago. If they're gonna, a lot of times you get food trucks that come into the town, you know, Chick-fil-A is a perfect example. I'll use Lee's, on Fridays, he knows his sales are gonna go down because Chick-fil-A is out there and it's a direct competitor, yet he's an established member of this community, that pays taxes, employs, where Chick-fil-A just kinda comes, takes and goes. So if they really wanna come to Boyle County and be part of, and get our business, they need to pony up.
What's your feeling,
puts the skin in
200
the
per
game.
showing versus
Thank you.
200 per year?
I think
Huh?
per year.
What's your feeling, 200 per showing, as it reads, versus 200 per year?
I will say per showing is a little
Yeah,
steep.
You can do
per year.
Judge, how you feel per year?
I'm fine with per year.
I
Okay.
can live with that too.
Yep.
If you can live with that, I can live with 200.
Now,
I
how
think
does,
we might discourage some, but I understand what you're saying about the
You
cash
gotta
type
think about
business.
the brick and mortar people.
Yeah.
Yes, you do, yeah.
Julie, how does this so brass band's getting ready to come up and you'll have a bunch of people that are doing this, so, I mean, I know this is not gonna take effect
Right.
by then, but for like, when they go to sign up, they're gonna be told that they need to sign up for a business license fee before they can set up, right?
If you look at the last bullet on page 4, and this is, my intention was to cover that very issue.
I'm sorry, what page?
On page 4, last bullet at the top of the page, transient or itinerant merchants, including fireworks and commercial plant vendors, not part of a bona fide farmer's market or sanctioned event.
Or sanctioned event.
Yeah. So I can expand on that and make that go back to, put it in the beginning of that section to allow that if you choose to go that way. Are you saying you don't want to charge?
No, I'm saying the
You
opposite.
do want to charge?
I'm saying that if they're coming in here as part of an event, they still need to pay the
Okay.
It's
fees.
a pretty good sized event, and you get
Okay.
to come here for nothing.
All right, I will work on that, the wording of that.
I'm sure they're paying somebody.
Well, they'll pay to be part of, like, so brass band, they charge them a little bit of money to set up or whatever.
Do anybody know what that is? I don't.
Missy and I talked about this not too long ago. I forget what it is. And I think part of it's based on like how big their thing is, or booth is, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if considering we give money to the Brass Band Festival to have these festivals, you know, it would be nice that if these merchants actually helped our budget to be able to give to Brass Band, if that makes sense. Kind of like a circle there.
Julie, my eyes began to cross.
Take
Yes,
business
we've been
and
at this a
everybody
while.
else's business.
Right.
What am I remembering about timing? Because on something like the brass band, there could be somebody at the very last minute
Yeah.
coming in, and yet you've got 5 days, 7 days?
7 days, yeah.
Well, 7 days should be enough.
You know you're
Somebody
coming
has
within
a
7
last-minute
days.
decision,
Yeah, you know you're
they could be a
coming.
week
If you're
in
not,
advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, no, and I think, I don't like the sanctioned event. I think that if they're coming, and they're a for-profit business, they should be bound to these as well, so.
Considers a sanctioned event, what's sanctioned versus this coming in?
Definition.
Yeah, it's a tough definition.
Yeah.
So I will describe, in the descriptions, I will add home-based business and sanctioned events. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't,
I think the rest of the changes are typographical on
Well,
that
no,
page.
there's a pretty substantial one.
Which one is that?
Under Roman numeral 8, penalties on page 5.
That's where I was headed.
Again, this doesn't sound business friendly
Yeah.
to me unless we change some language. Second paragraph, any person, drop down, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction, I'd add will be subject to being fined up to $500, and then we're gonna throw them in jail. I think we ought to have the clause subject to being, in other words, it doesn't say you are going to jail, you are paying $500, because as soon as they see this, they know they're gonna have to play ball by our rules. But I'd soften it so that we don't scare anybody off, by a harsh language on conviction, you're going to jail. Just add the word subject.
well,
to
I mean,
being.
I think the very first sentence kind of tells you why we've got that in there. Any person, corporation who shall fail, neglect, or refuse to obtain the business license required by this ordinance. So if somebody just flat out refuses to get the business license, and I mean, we've seen it in other things where we've got very low little fines or whatever, and it doesn't have any teeth, then, you know, what's the point? They're like, I'm not gonna get it, and then this whole thing is for naught. So, I wasn't exactly, sorry, I wasn't exactly sure where you were going with it, but I don't think we need to soften it up. No,
I
I yeah.
starts with the word guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction, subject to be, in other words, the party will be subject to being fined up to $500 and in prison.
The first section of that, the first paragraph deals with somebody who just didn't get a license, refused to get a license.
Yeah.
The second section of that is
It's
somebody
when they say
that
go
we
pound
have already
sand.
visited and said you cannot operate without a license, or they're not current on their taxes and they're trying to operate without bringing that up, then it goes to the 500 and the harsher language.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
And I'm
all right.
happy to soften
Now,
it.
you might have a problem with what I want to put at the end, but Fish and Wildlife does this to the point where they have probably $1 million auction every year. If they are so arrogant that they're ignoring everything, then I think we ought to do what Fish and Wildlife and some other departments of state government do at the end. Take whatever steps are necessary to physically close your business, the premises, including, and I'd soften it with this word, Counselor, potential confiscation of all goods on the premises. And in the Fish and Wildlife, that means my gun, my truck, anything I've got with me.
Well, that
That's-
sounds awfly harsh to me.
I don't
Not
think
only
we-
harsh-
I don't think we got the authority to do that.
I don't think we do
have the
either.
authority either,
What's
because,
the process?
yeah,
No, the only reason they got the authority, cause they got the government behind them, but.
but
We're a
also,
governing body.
Yeah, but not, I don't think we can do that.
I'm going on your theory that, they've already violated everything and told us to go pound sand, and that's why I would be that strong.
I mean, essentially, we could close them, but I wouldn't confiscate, because some of those things, if it's a business, you know, they've mainly gotten loans or whatever,
Just
and
tell
they've
them to leave.
pledged that stuff
That's why I
to the
thought
loan,
there
so
was
we
potential.
are out of the order of the creditor, so, but,
Well, it looks like to me, if the fine's a whole lot higher than what the fee is, why would they not go ahead and pay the fee? I'm sure they probably would if you confronted them,
well,
said,
that
yeah,
next
I'll pay
line
the fee.
says each day's violation of this prohibition is a separate offense.
Yeah,
So it just compounds.
$2,500 in 5 days.
Yeah, so it compounds. So, I mean, I think you need some teeth there. One thing I wrote down here, and I don't know if this is part of it, how to revoke a person's business license. So we've kind of talked before about, you know, Airbnbs that are just not being good neighbors or whatever, and we can get continuous complaints.
Well, that could be put at the end of this paragraph, and rescission of your business license.
That's one thing I think we need, that if they continue to do different things or whatever, break laws, whatever, we need to have something in there that says, you know, that their current business license can be revoked.
Chris, will you work with me on that? Make sure we get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Number 11 at the bottom, Tom and I both looked at and agree that that's a repeat. That number 11 can be struck.
Right.
It's just the same.
Don't need to leave room
Yeah.
for wrong room.
And so, that's it, pretty much.
Amen.
Other than some typos and, so,
What's our process as we identify someone who is not paid their past?
the first year when they come in, this is the way I envision this. The first year when they come in, they will pay their $50. Our employee will look them up and say, you are past due for these, whatever, quarters, whatever it is. Before you renew next year, you have to fix this. So the first time, you're gonna have a year to bring yourself into compliance. The second year, if they come in and they're still in arrears, we don't give it to them until they come out of arrears. I do think it's fair to say the first year, you owe us whatever, and we're giving you.
You mentioned a few weeks ago filing a lien.
That's for occupational.
That's for yes. Our policy says that is it the ordinance or is it in the administrative code? I can't remember.
Administrative code, wasn't
In
it?
the
Ordinance.
the occupational
Okay, it's an ordinance.
tax ordinance 220.4, it talks about how we automatically have a lien against employers who don't pay the occupational tax, but, you know, just to have a lien itself, you actually need to perfect that lien by filing, you know, a lien in the county clerk's office to let everybody know, put everyone on notice that there is a lien there. So, I mean, I've worked with Jilly, because, I mean, I look back into the computer system and so forth there at the county clerk's office. I don't think that's ever been done before. Like, so I've prepared a notice of lien statement that with the language quoting 220.4 and so forth, which we would do for people who don't pay their occupational tax.
Or net profit, yeah.
On that profit.
So
There-
do we ever sue?
I mean, we can sue. We can
Who
sue.
do we though?
Yeah.
I've never done so, and I don't know
What
that.
should we?
Well, I mean, I think that one thing that I've done for people not paying their occupational tax, there's certain people that I've actually filed. Yeah, you can sue, but it seems like the process of going through the circuit court, it just takes the longest time. So what I've felt more
It's like
helpful.
a Kroger
would be-
situation, right?
Well, no, that was more. That was a PVA.
Well, I understand
PVA,
PVA, but I mean,
PVA.
if we look at the
But-
example of how long it took and you know,
yeah.
the legal fees that mounted with that, and it could go the wrong way. That would be my concern.
It's a perfect example. The U.S. Postal Service, for whatever reason, they don't. I mean, other businesses, they take out, you know, your occupational tax and they pay it into the government, you know, local government or whatever. The Postal Service does not, and so, you know, I've had to actually. I mean, we try our best to collect. You know, and I don't do the collection part. That's I'm kind of like the last step. You know, our occupational tax administrator, they try to collect the tax, and then when it comes to the point that it's just, they've used every effort to no avail, then they come to me, and what I've done, and I did so back in February, is filed several criminal complaints for violation of Ordinance against different persons for their failure to pay the occupational tax, including, I mean, there were some postal workers, and I know that I've done so, and there's a postal worker in my office here recently, and he's paying it. I mean, it works. I mean, I don't want to charge someone criminally, but I mean, seems like that's an easier way to do so, and I mean, if they pay, I mean, I really
remove it.
I want to, you know, dismiss it or whatever if possible, but that seems like that's a more effective route than filing a civil suit against somebody.
Well, and we do
you
agreements.
determine who you sue or who you take action against? Is that a determination that you make in your role?
It's something that I consult with, you know, the occupational tax administrator, you know, about doing so. I mean, I think that there should be some kind of amount that, you know, in question, like if it's $100 or something like that, then no, I don't think that should be someone where I file criminal charges with. But the ones that I filed were several $1,000s, you know, so it would be good to have some kind of standard, say, hey, you know, if they get this much behind, then let's do that. But even though civilly, you know, the time and so forth that it would take if I was going to sue somebody for a couple $100, I don't think that's, you know, that's worth that.
Does it put you at a liability of us not having set a limit so that you have guidance and protection of not being accused of picking and choosing?
Like malicious prosecution or whatever. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that would be best if they had some kind of standard that said, hey, $500 or $1,000 or what. I think, you know, over $1,000 would be I would feel, you know, most comfortable with. I think that would be helpful.
I shared this with Jason this morning, and you all may or may not know this, but the instructions with the collection department of EMS is not to sue, and that was a court decision. And just so everybody knows, now this was court before us, before you all. I don't know if I'm looking at consistency.
Well, KRS says if
Where
you,
does that put us?
KRS says if you withhold from an employee's check,
That's stealing.
that is, yes.
That is
So
stealing.
some of this, we don't have a choice by KRS. Now, the postal employees would be a different
Yeah, some
situation.
are withholding, they're just not paying us.
Well,
Yeah.
if Jason and I don't pay for what we take out of our employees' checks every payday, and don't give it to where it's supposed to go, we steal.
Mhm.
We're stealing.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I pay service to do it for me.
Yeah, well, I do my own, so I write
I'll
the
get
checks,
you
I
out
know,
there.
and I expect all the other businesses to do what I do.
I only worry about setting a threshold because, you know, you may have, you know, 5, 6, 7 clients that are over 1,000. If you got like 100 to 1,000 that's under 1,000, you know, you're looking at, you know, very not much up here, but a lot down here that we're missing out on.
Like if everyone knows, oh, I have to get 1,000 over, then.
Yeah, if as long as I'm not 1,000 over.
If I don't hit this threshold.
I think discretion should be at the tax collector and the county attorney on which ones they'll.
Right.
You know.
There are some that are like $6.
Yeah, those.
Okay, and then you add the penalties and interest, and is it 50 if it's a city county, and interest, so there you go to $56. Well, then every month it starts to grow, and it's all interest and penalties and a little bit of.
I totally see what you say,
Yeah.
because, you know, when I collect child support, and there's a felony threshold right now, 1,000, which they've raised it, which is going to affect, I think, at the end of July. But people know, you know, that
Right.
As long as I stay
amount,
under.
and to keep it under there, just, you know, so they're not going to get charged with the felony. They know that, or even like shoplifters and stuff. They know, oh, if I shoplift and it's under whatever, that's going to be a misdemeanor. But if it's over that, I mean, it's a
Yeah. But going back to John's point, I mean, we may want to look as a court on collecting. I mean, Mike will tell you, there's a lot out there that we're missing out on. That, and all that happens is it gets hit on somebody's credit report once it goes to collections or whatever, or written off. And a lot of times those medical billing things are not looked at like if somebody was like defaulted on a credit card.
Yeah, I'm glad Mike's still here, because
So-
the first year I sat beside John on this, and he patted my hand and said, you know, just leave this for now. But I knew uncompensated care in the healthcare industry, and folks, at Blue Cross alone, we were a $300 million corporation in Kentucky, and we were losing, for you, millions of dollars when we didn't pursue it, so we started pursuing it more. That was a new tax on your health insurance, because we passed that lost money on to you. And I know that it'll never be zero, but it's something that we might want to reconsider.
Just to give you a quick example.
Mike.
The attorneys cannot get a fee, the way that I read it, you can look it up, but, and I tell you what, let me just give you this.
Karis. I mean, I can.
I think a county attorney
I'm not
can.
sure, so, but anyway, I think we need to be somewhat consistent and knowledgeable about where the thresholds are, so that we don't put ourselves in a liability situation in picking and choosing.
Understand?
Consistency counts, I think.
I agree.
I mean, I would think that this is just another portion of the medical billing where we pay somebody to collect our medical bills.
Which we're doing, right?
Which we're doing. And so if with what Chris is saying, there are companies out there that will go a step further, that will go out there and collect the collection pieces, the people that have been turned over to collections or whatever, and we just pay them a fee. I don't think Chris can take that fee.
Right, yes, it's 69.210, paragraph 4B. I mean, it says, I mean, it talks about delinquent collecting officers. I mean, it basically just says I can't take a fee.
But we could pay a service to go
Exactly.
after people
And that
to
would be
do that.
consistent across the board.
And so even at, $27,000 a month, if they took a third of that or even half of that, we still got.
And they don't make near that much.
The reason I bring this up, the business license is going to be, the next stage of it is going to bring up some situations that we need to know how we're gonna process
I
it.
just said to Mike, is there an ordinance for how he does his collection? Maybe I just pull all the tax collecting policies and get those to you and let you
Well,
look them over.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to extend the meeting, but I think it's a
No.
question that could come
No.
up to bite us down the road, and we need to avoid it. So.
Well, I mean, we
know
can't
there's-
really have a one part of a meeting where we're going after these people these businesses, when we have others that don't pay as well. So can't pick and choose, like you said.
And just so everybody knows, the process is the way now, because Missy's asking me, I know we have a billing agency, or a collection agency. Our billing agency will send a 30, 60 to 120 bill out. After that, they'll get turned over to collections. They'll try to bill it, phone calls. After that, though, that they don't do anything. So they don't pursue any kind of legal, anything after that, so.
Is that two bills?
For the collection agency, or?
Is it just that they send it twice?
I'm not, I have to find that out for you, exactly how the collections.
They just spend so much time on trying to, in the collection agency.
Yeah.
I mean, they exhaust.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost them more to go after the money than what they're gonna get, they end it.
Yeah.
Well, or during our meeting, when John brought this up, I kind of circled back and just made a note to myself, do we go back the lien route? You know, if somebody owes a certain amount of dollars, can that collection agency turn it back over to us, and then a lien is placed, you know, if the amount is one that we want to mess with or whatever?
Seems logical.
I say it's exhausted.
I mean,
By that
you can
time,
do
it's
something like that,
exhausted.
maybe, you know, pass it in a
Gone.
local ordinance, but
They're not gonna pay you.
another thing you gotta look at is, a lot of times, you know, when someone's not paying, you gotta look at, you know, when determining whether to assume or not, what do they have? I mean, I used to work in the insurance business, and, you know, we'd get that with people with no insurance, and we'd have to run like these financial background checks and stuff on people, like when we paid out a claim to see if they even have anything, you know, to go after. So, I mean, that's just another, you know, another.
I don't know that, and that's where it triggered it in my mind was when Julie said placing a lien, and I said, Julie, do you know how to place a lien? And she said, no. So, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna be involved in the process, and who's gonna do it?
You'd have to charge.
I'd rather know going into what I think we're gonna run into down the road than.
And we do have a process letter on that, okay? That's an agreement between Keegan and Julie and myself, Susanna and Chris, the attorney, his office. There is a process letter that goes step by step by step by step to get to him, and then what he has to do.
Well, I didn't know that you had a process letter, to be honest.
And I think she was using the term "I" loosely, you know,
Oh, okay.
because, you know, she's you know, doing those steps, and she's coming to me like, you know, that same day that an email went out about what's going on. She sent me an email.
I'll get you a copy of that.
I think this
I
is the
think you've seen
information
it
the whole
before, but
court
it's
needs.
been some
Right,
time ago.
right.
Needs to know, I think we all need to know what the process is.
Well, I don't know, my memory might be not what it once was, but I thought we presented that and went over that before we put that group and committee together to help augment the tax collection process, okay? I think you've seen it, but we'll make sure you see it again.
Thank you.
Other than that, Julie, looks great.
Thank you, Julie. Now, Keegan, you're up.
Judge,
Yes.
excuse me, before we move on, I spent probably a half hour, 45 minutes with Julie yesterday on her job description, and with your agreement, what I'd like to do is get with Julie, and I love the yellow line thing that she's done, because there was some very substantive language that she added, that I added, and I think you'll want to see it before we consider it approved or anything, because it would go to your personnel committee anyway. So with your
Yellow
forbearance,
lines, these are changes that's already been,
to her job description.
it's already been approved, but you're
Yeah,
talking about
but
changes.
these, we might come back, if you could send it out yellow line where we have the information. And I'll make sure we've got the same stuff from
Just say
yesterday.
it's okay.
And that way we don't bog down today.
Okay.
All right, Keegan, yes, sir.
I've just circulated around the April financials, you know, as always. I mean, you all can come by and discuss those anytime with me. I don't need any approval or anything like that on that. The second thing that I have, and we can hold this off till next meeting if you all want to, due to the fact that I didn't get it on the agenda by Thursday, and there's 2 magistrates not here. They don't expire until July 1st, and that's the standing orders for next year, and there's no changes to them, except at the very end I took off the federal grant that we got for the land we got this year.
Oh, for the battlefield?
Yeah. So I
Trust?
took that off because obviously we're not gonna buy that again, so.
Right. I would be in favor of a motion to, well, not a motion, but to defer this to the second June meeting for review or approval of the standing orders list, which we have to do by motion and vote when everybody's here. And if that's okay, that this will be a read ahead. And anybody have any comments about that?
Good idea.
So we'll put this on the agenda for 22nd of June. Anything else?
All got.
Going back, not for Keegan, but the prior, the business license. So have you guys voted officially to do that? And if so, I'm wondering, was what was read, are we gonna consider that a first reading or not, so?
I
We're
would
just still in the
hope-
process, I mean, I don't know.
I would hope so.
So, well, problem is we're trying to do it by July 1.
Well, the next meeting, we can nail it down.
There can be changes made, after the first reading, so.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're saying that you did vote to do
No,
business
we
license?
can.
We did
can.
not, I wasn't
We
sure with
did.
that, I mean, if need be, then I'll make the motion that
I'll
we.
second the motion.
That the ordinance relating to the business license, this you considered its first reading, and that's your motion, is that correct?
Yep.
And that's your second?
Correct.
Tom Ellis?
And that
Okay.
we'd see the changes in yellow again.
And those changes can be made between now and the second reading, and we'll have a second reading with the changes included. So, is there a discussion on the first reading of the proposed ordinance, 222.0? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
And I don't know if it'll, 222.0 is the exact number or whatever, I mean, it could, it is, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
All right. District reports, let's start over here with Mr. Ellis.
Okay, first of all, Judge, even before that, we had two items here. Your letter,
It's just about the
Information.
.gov.
Information, it's
It's
information.
only, okay.
It's
And then the other
information.
one was, to John, about the John Davis, it's, okay. The only thing that I would bring up is, I hope you saw in the newspaper, or online, that, Magistrate Cullen and I, jointly authored a letter on grass in the roads. The day that we talked about that draft, we had an incident on one of our roads in my district where grass was thrown completely across the road. The judge and I talked about it before I could get the words out about the issue with a constituent of mine, where he was angry that I asked a guy on the mower to blow it off, and the guy was very cordial when I asked him, and immediately on finishing his job off the road, he came up on the road and blew it back off. I assured that gentleman who visited my home when I wasn't home and angrily asked my wife for my phone number, and when we talked, I assured him that I would not necessarily take the trouble to visit a given constituent, or even if I were driving in Jason's district. If I saw grass on the road and somebody was still mowing, I would stop and be as polite as I was that day and request that they blow it off the road. But it is an issue. If you read the letter, federal officials have found that grass newly mowed is 85% water. That is a danger even to bicyclists, let alone Harley and other brand. And in fact, since your truck only has about 6 feet of square inches on the road with 4 tires, if you came around the curve in my F-150, I'll guarantee you I could slide as well. So please be attentive to this. The judge and I have talked. It's virtually impossible to totally control. The state does not sweep in behind. We don't have the equipment to do it, but we have to be attentive during the entire growing season that this is a serious liability. People are killed every year, and one of the things that was subtle in the letter that we co-signed is that you can lose your home in a lawsuit if someone's severely injured or killed out front of your property, and you hired somebody or you did it yourself and left the grass in the road that caused that accident. So hopefully people will be attentive to it. The editor, Jeff Moreland, and I went back and forth on emails, and he was very complimentary of the fact that we're raising that issue. So keep it top of mind in the growing season.
Anything else?
That's it.
Good, thank you. John?
May I say something that pertains to the subject matter? If you want to champion something that has to do with motorcycle riding, I would ask you to champion the law, the state law on helmet wearing. All all you gotta do is be over 21 years old. Now, you don't have to wear a helmet. Helmet is serious. So champion the wearing of helmet if you're gonna champion motorcycle ride.
Unfortunately, I recall in spades, because Blue Cross was involved in this greatly, way back in the 80s, when that passed, it was so watered down that you see too many people without a helmet. And one very angry senator who was against helmets led the charge in watering that down. And what, it's been 40 years now since anything's been done with it. And a lot of people have been horrifically maimed or killed. And guess who pays that $3, $4, $5 million until the Lord takes them home?
I probably wouldn't be here if I had not had my helmet on. You remember that?
I remember sitting while you were in the bed talking to you.
Thanks for bringing that up. Are you listening, Mr. Editor?
Okay, John, what else you have?
That's all.
Oh, that's it?
Well, if we just going around. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any date on the authority meeting with the city?
Go ahead, Justin.
We have we don't have any date, but it's gonna
Okay.
happen real soon.
Okay, good, thank you.
Real soon, and,
And
yeah.
I just wanted to keep it on tape.
No, it's on the table.
Okay.
It's gonna happen real soon.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Counselor?
Nebraska Band Festival's coming up this weekend. Friday looks like there might be scattered rain or thunderstorms, but Saturday's looking good now. So I mean, I just encourage people to come out. It's going to be here, in front of the courthouse.
Opens a good day.
So that's exciting. And then the following week, we're going to have our Boyle County Fair, which is also very exciting. And my favorite part of the fair is the Demolition Derby. So I mean, I just encourage everybody to come out and participate in these outdoor events.
Okay, thank you. Brother Short?
I really don't have anything.
Okay. Ashley Cullen?
I was actually also gonna mention the county fair, and then only because I utilize it, the bridge in Tom's district going down to one lane, so those traveling through Perryville.
Starting yesterday.
Be prepared, and that's all I have.
Judge, if you would allow, I had a wonderful meeting recently with former Mayor Ann Sleet, and she pointed out to me that for over 30 years she's been working on that, and I just wanted to, for the record, credit the activity that she worked so hard for, and finally it's coming to fruition. So thank you, Mayor Sleet.
You're absolutely correct. I was in some of those meetings.
Yeah.
And the
She's
state
a wonderful lady.
promised and promised and failed and failed.
Well, when it is finished and it's reopened, I plan to work with the current mayor to invite the former mayor to be there for the reopening of that bridge facility.
I do have something.
Okay, go ahead.
Let everybody be aware, Stewart's Lane would probably, they'll probably start blacktopping that. Pretty soon.
Yay!
Yay. So, just wanted to make you aware that, if anybody's going that way, they could be stopped.
Okay, all right. And that starts real soon?
Well.
We hope.
Yeah, we hope. Dwayne thought it was gonna start this month, should start this month, so.
Is everybody done? I've got something I want the court to consider if it's my time, and I believe it is. Last year, we honored and recognized Juneteenth in June, and I think it's important to do so again. I found out last night that it's, for those who don't know, it's rapidly becoming a much widely recognized holiday observance. True. And so I would like to commemorate Juneteenth which is actually June 19th of this year, as that we recognize an underscore, that the underscored recognition of that day is to recognize the freedoms with dignity of every human being that was afforded in Texas in 1866 by General Granger. And to most of those that he did that with was as a result with the along with what Lincoln did a little earlier, the Emancipation Proclamation. It abolished slavery, and this was ratified by Congress later in 1865. I think that's a huge recognition that the court needs to put forth today. The one thing that I would like to add to that, which is kind of particular to Kentucky, and specifically, it's come to my attention that General Granger, the Union, Gordon Granger, the Union general that did this in 1866 in Texas, in the district of Texas, is actually buried in Lexington, Kentucky. So that is a pretty unique connection to Kentucky for this historic activity that happened 140 years ago. So I want the court, if the court, with the court's condolences, I mean not condolences, excuse me, wrong term. With the court's permission, I would like to officially recognize Juneteenth, June 19th, as a day that we observe for that those freedoms that the slaves received in Texas, and was later ratified by Congress. That was the date recognized as abolishing slavery. Okay?
Wonderful.
I'll make that motion.
Make a motion,
Second.
by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Ellis, that we recognize Juneteenth, June 19th, as an official day of recognition for the abolishment of slavery in this country. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. So, thank you for that. I hope everybody will have a great weekend at the Great American Brass Band Festival, and then the following week at the fair, 14th through the 19th, I believe, are those dates. I would like to say that the county and its employees, through Angie Muncie and some others in the jail, are contributing to the county effort, the fair effort, by cleanup after the nightly sessions at that facility where it's been for the last several years, out at the fairgrounds off of the bypass. So I appreciate their involvement and their contributions to that.
And David Williams, as one of the principals of the fair, was most pleased to hear that the judges made that arrangement for the cleanup.
So,
Motion to adjourn.
the motion has been made to adjourn.
Second.
By Magistrate Short and seconded by Magistrate Cullen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We stand in adjournment. Thank you.